She did it first. I need you to understand that. My wife cheated before I ever touched her mother. It was a hotel room, Midtown, room 428. I remember the number because I saw it on her phone screen 2 minutes before she walked out of the shower. He'd sent her a selfie in bed, sheets pushed down, smirking. She said it was a mistake, said she was drunk, that it meant nothing. I almost believed her. I wanted to. But something breaks when you see your whole life reflected in someone else's afterglow. We didn't separate. We didn't fight, not really. We just quieted. Tonight, her mom came for dinner. Judith, 53, widow, pilot's thighs, lipstick that never smudged. The kind of woman who made her age a weapon. She brought a bottle of red and a roast, said it was tradition. Dinner was tense. My wife barely spoke. Judith laughed too loudly at my jokes. Later, my wife passed out on the couch. 2 glasses too deep, mascara smudged, hair sticking to her cheek. I started cleaning. Judith followed me into the kitchen. "You look tired," she said. I shrugged. She poured herself another glass and then, without asking, poured one for me too. We stood there, leaning against opposite counters, the soft clink of glass, the hum of the fridge. Then she said it. Did she ever say sorry? I looked up. She was staring at me over the rim of her wine glass. I mean, really, she continued. Not the cry and fake, cry kind. I mean, actually mean it. I didn't answer. She stepped closer. She never deserved you, Judith said. Her voice dropped, smooth, dangerous. But I always knew she'd screw it up. My heart beat faster. I didn't know why. Maybe I did. She reached for my wrist, gentle. Her fingers were cold. You've lost weight, she said, eyes scanning my face. Has she even noticed? I swallowed. Judith. But she didn't back off. She stepped in close. So close I could feel the heat from her body, the faint scent of vanilla and wine on her breath. You know, she whispered, when a woman gets older, she starts to recognize what real hunger looks like in a man. Her hand slid up my chest. Slow, intentional. I see it in you. My mouth was dry, and I didn't move. She leaned up, lips near mine, barely there. Her eyes burned into me, and then, quietly, she kissed me. Once, slow, measured, and when she pulled back, she didn't look guilty. She looked amused. Like she'd just won a game I didn't realize we were playing. You don't have to say anything, Judith said softly. I knew you wanted it before I touched you. Her glass was still in her hand, tilted slightly, her lipstick perfectly intact. The way she stood, just inches from me, made it hard to think clearly. I didn't pull away. She reached out, touched my chest, just over the buttons of my shirt. Her fingertips lingered there, like a question she already knew the answer to. She broke something in you, she said. And you're pretending it can be fixed. I swallowed hard. Judith. But her hand moved up to my face, brushing her thumb across my cheek. I've seen how you look at her now. Like you're trying to remember the person you married, not love the one who's still here. She was close enough for me to feel the warmth of her body, her breath soft against my skin. Do you want me to stop? She asked, tilting her head. I didn't answer, because I didn't know. And she knew that. Judith leaned in, not fast, not demanding, just deliberate. Her lips brushed mine again, slower this time. Testing, teasing. When she pulled away, she looked at me like she was studying the damage. You deserve to be seen, she whispered, not tolerated. not pitied. Desired. She turned her back to me and walked to the sink, setting her glass down. "I'm not asking for anything," she said, glancing over her shoulder. "I'm just offering what she threw away." I stood there, frozen, heart pounding, throat dry, wanting, and not sure if I hated myself for it. Her lips wrapped around me like they'd been waiting. No hesitation, no teasing, just warmth, slick, wet, slow, like a secret she was already tired of keeping. I braced myself against the fridge, head tilted back, eyes shut. I shouldn't have let her, but I did, because her mouth felt like something between punishment and permission. She moaned around me, quiet, calculated, a hum that vibrated through every inch of me. I opened my eyes and looked down. She held eye contact as she pulled back, tongue sliding along the underside of my cock like it was familiar. "Judith," I groaned. Her smile was obscene. "I told you to be still," she whispered, and sucked me in again. I forgot how to stand properly. My hands found her hair, the soft waves I'd only ever politely complimented before. Now I gripped them not hard, but possessively. She bobbed her head with practiced grace, her rhythm slow, deliberate. Her hand stroked the bass in time. She wasn't rushing. She wanted me to remember this, to crave it, to know the difference. And I did. God, I did. I almost warned her I was close. But she didn't give me the chance. Her hand pulled free from my thigh, and with a surprising strength, she stood and turned around, bending over the counter. She looked back over her shoulder. "Finish it," she said. I didn't speak. I stepped behind her, dragged her dress up, revealing skin that wasn't shy or hesitant, just warm, bare, ready. No underwear. She planned this. I slid into her with a single thrust, both of us gasping, hers with satisfaction, mine with disbelief. She was tight, hot, so goddamn wet. Her fingers gripped the edge of the counter, her head bowed forward, dark hair falling over her shoulder. "Harder," she hissed. I gave her everything. The room spun. There was nothing gentle left in me. No wedding, no wife. Just this. Just Judith. My thrusts were loud, merciless, each one slapping against her with the kind of rhythm people beg for but never admit out loud. She moaned low, raw, honest, older than shame. And then footsteps. In the hallway, I stopped. Judith didn't. She reached back, grabbed my wrist. "Don't you dare," she whispered. "She needs to see this." And that's when I realized my wife was awake and walking straight toward the kitchen. Her voice hit me first. Small, disoriented. "What's going on?" I froze. Judith didn't. She didn't even look up. She kept her back to me, her hand still resting on mine, still guiding me, still holding the moment like it belonged to her. I turned my head slowly. There she was, my wife, standing in the doorway of the kitchen, eyes wide, skin pale, still in the same clothes she passed out in, smeared eyeliner, blanket half, dragging behind her like she thought it might still protect her. She didn't speak right away, just stared. Judith turned her head. "Fine, darling," she said, casually. "You're awake. No shame. No flinch." My wife blinked. Once. Then again. "Mom." Her voice cracked. I stepped back like I'd just woken up in someone else's skin. But Judith reached back and caught my wrist. Lightly, like I was hers. She looked at her daughter with maddening calm. "Go back to sleep," she said. "We're just finishing what you started." Silence. It slammed into the room like a closed fist. My wife's mouth opened, then shut. Her hand trembled as she reached for the wall. "You're disgusting," she whispered. Judith smiled faintly. "No, I'm honest." She turned to me again, ran her hand down my chest. "And he's finally getting what you never gave him." I couldn't move, couldn't speak. My wife stepped backward. 1 foot, then 2, like she wasn't sure if she was going to scream or pass out. "You're sick," she spat, voice higher now. "Both of you." Judith leaned closer to me, her words meant for both of us. "She only cares now because she lost." Then louder, without looking away from me. "Stay." She didn't mean it as a suggestion, and I did. My wife was still standing there, frozen, staring at us like she couldn't decide whether this was a nightmare or just a long overdue unveiling. Judith finally turned to face her completely, smooth, calm, radiant in the kitchen light, like this was just another family conversation. She walked toward her daughter slowly. No guilt in her posture, no apology in her breath. "You always thought men were toys," Judith said, voice quiet but sharp. "But he isn't a toy. He's a man." Her daughter didn't respond, just blinked, eyes wet and wild, breath catching in her throat. Judith took another step. "You neglected him, starved him, cheated on him. You thought he'd sit and wait for the scraps." She smiled faintly. "You forgot he had options." My wife's mouth opened. "You're my mother, and you're my biggest disappointment," Judith said, cutting her off. "Not because you cheated, because you thought you could get away with it." She turned back to me. "And because you never realized how much he deserved to be devoured." I stood there, still caught in the aftermath, my pulse loud in my ears, my body still humming with shame, desire, and something close to awe. Judith looked over her shoulder one more time. "Maybe now you'll understand what it means to lose something worth keeping." She walked back to me, stood close, and for a long second, none of us said anything. We were 3 people in a kitchen, in a house filled with silence and history and shattered lines. Then Judith reached up, straightened the collar of my shirt, and whispered, "Finish getting dressed. We're done here." I buttoned my shirt slowly. My wife hadn't moved. She stood against the wall, one hand gripping the frame like it might anchor her to whatever was left of her world. I couldn't read her expression anymore. It had flattened into something blank, something brittle. Judith adjusted her dress in the reflection of the dark microwave glass, not rushed, not hiding. She looked over at me with that same look she wore at the wedding, when she toasted her new husband, and glanced at me across the table, like she'd known this was always going to happen. She stepped toward me. One hand reached up. She brushed her thumb across the corner of my mouth again. Same gesture. Different man now. Then she kissed me, in front of her daughter. Not cruelly, not showy, just deliberately. A slow, final, claiming kiss. She pulled back and whispered, "Now she knows what it sounds like when it matters." I didn't look at my wife. Not because I didn't care. Because I already knew what I'd see. Judith picked up her wineglass and walked to the door, heels clicking softly like punctuation marks on a page I'd never be able to erase. She didn't look back, and I didn't call after her. I stood in the kitchen, the air warm and still, and finally turned to my wife. She waited for me to speak, waited for some version of sorry, or explanation, or denial. But I gave her none. I looked at her and said the only thing that was still true. "I didn't do it to hurt you." A pause. Then I added, I did it because I wanted to. And I left her standing there, with nothing to say.